to send us off on our way from our summit. Alexander Eaton is a first-year PhD student at Florida International University studying biology education, a graduate of the UTeach program at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. He's had a wealth of educational experiences in both formal and informal settings. He most recently taught 10th grade biology at an urban high school in Massachusetts. During this time, he was honored with multiple awards, had the pleasure of presenting at several conferences, and enjoyed building strong relationships. His teaching philosophy centers on the power of positivity, and as such, always makes it a mission to spread smiles and good vibes. Recognizing the small sources of joy in each day is key in not only building a welcoming classroom environment, but in tackling each day. Please welcome Alexander Eaton.
Actually, am I loud enough where everybody can hear me?
You're very.
Okay. I like to use my hands when I talk and then hold that down. All right, so thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to talk to you about my journey with UTeach. As those around me know very much, UTeach to me at this point is part of my identity. Like, if you want to talk about UTeach, I will talk about UTeach, right? If you want to have me involved with something related to UTeach, I won't even think about an alternate possibility. I'm just gonna do it, right? So UTeach to me has really made me who I am today, and I credit a lot of my success to being an alum of the UTeach program. So we are gonna go on a little journey, and throughout this journey, I'm gonna share to you the core influences that I believe stem from my UTeach experience that kind of influenced me to become the person that I am. And this related to visibility in terms of UTeach making itself known to me, and me then being a part of that to make UTeach known to others, and how UTeach fostered a community that I felt like I was a part of, both locally at my university and greater as part of UTeach Nation, and the impact of remembering my why. So throughout each of the following slides, I have these three little icons. They're going to be in the corner. This was a whole idea that came to me. I was just wanting to throw that up there. And it's going to tie into what I talk about. Anyways, let's go back in time to when I was in high school. All right. So this is me. Okay. This guy, he is a senior in high school. He is not 100% sure where he's going to go to college or what is to come. And then he graduates, he's like, what am I gonna do? All right. So at some point when visiting colleges, I visited UMass Lowell. And at UMass Lowell, I learned about UTeach. Wow, those lights are cute. All right, so I learned about UTeach. And I had never heard of it up until now, so this was my first time hearing about this program. And this program that allowed you to graduate with your biology degree and also graduate with a license to teach. I'm like, no way. That's the best of both worlds, right? So once I learned about UTeach and I talked about it with my friends and my family, I knew I wanted to go to UMass Lowell. It was set in stone, which I want everyone in here to really take that in. I chose to go to UMass Lowell just because the UTeach program existed. At the time, it was the only UTeach program in Massachusetts, so my options weren't really great, like in Texas, I have a buffet. But I ended up deciding to go. And when I went to orientation, it was reinforced. There was a UTeach presentation. I was like, yeah, super excited. And there were these lawn signs all over the campus that advertised UTeach, and it said, just try. It's like everywhere I looked, there was a sign pointing me that I need to go to UTeach, right? All right, so I enrolled in step one, my very first semester as a freshman, and with that, I learned a lot of, wonderful things that you would expect, such as the 5 E's, inquiry-based learning, and the fact that I absolutely do not want to teach everything. So that's, important stuff to know, and it really confirmed that even though I don't want to teach 4th grade, I do want to teach. And then at the end of step one, I don't know if all step ones do this, but we had to present a poster presentation was based on one of our lessons. So there's happy me, right? Super excited to talk about my constellation lesson that I did with the kids. And I still have this poster in my home. It's something that is actually very, very special to me. I am very cheesy, and I like all the warm, fuzzy stuff that warms my heart. So this means a lot to me, so it still lives on. And after step one, I continued on, and I, decided, yeah, I definitely want to keep taking courses, still want to be a part of the program. And that's where I continued to build my connection with the community, and also being a part of the visibility of UTeach. Because again, UTeach made itself visible to me, and that's how I got to be a part of the program. So I was like, oh, I want to help promote that and get others. I want others to feel this wonderful, fuzzy feeling that I'm feeling, and be a part of this wonderful experience. So I became a UTeach ambassador, and that is what you see in the bottom left there. So in the bottom left, I am at an open house with some of my friends, and we are talking about UTeach. So I get to be that student that is promoting the program to a future me, maybe, right? And to me, going that full circle really made it special. So then on top of that, we started having these events, like the UTeach game nights. And on the UTeach game nights is, again, just fostering that community. I didn't realize this at the time, but even though I was a biology major, when I thought of who my people were, I only thought of UTeach, right? I wasn't thinking about my bio department, I wasn't thinking about my bio classes, and that's not to say I was in a terrible bio program, right? But when I thought of where I belonged, it was in UTeach. So I continued on through the program, I was making all those memories, and then eventually, what was really, really impactful came during my student teaching. So, during my student teaching, my professor, so Dr. Samita Lewis, who runs the UTeach program over at UMass Lowell, she told all of my cohort that we're all gonna be in the same school. We're all gonna be placed in this high needs district, and with a diverse population, and that we would all be together. And this was the first time that she was doing it like this. Up until then, we were allowed to kind of just explore, pick and choose what school we were gonna be in. But she wanted us to grow our partnership with a school that really needed the support. It really needed teachers like those trained in UTeach. And from my student teaching came a lot of tears. I was stressed. I was experiencing things I had never experienced in my life. Having students threaten to steal my car, having students threaten to fight me, right? One time I stood in the doorway because they wanted to leave early, and one of them said, I'm gonna pick you up. And then I was like, try. I learned a lot, but it really, really shaped who I was as a teacher, in the sense that I realized that there was more to teaching than just biology, right? And it really showed itself in the end when I got feedback from students. So the students started saying all these nice things, like, thank you always for helping us and for keeping us motivated, right? You are the best teacher, right? Te quiero mucho, mister. Yeah, and they felt like they were better students just because of me. And I was only with them for a few months, right? And in that short time, I questioned whether I was even a good teacher, right? And seeing these comments and seeing their reactions when they learned that I was leaving was when I really discovered my why. When I discovered why I teach, why I want to do this, why it's important for me to do this, and most importantly, up until then, I hadn't realized why it was important for me as a Latino to teach in the classroom. So most of my students were from the Dominican Republic, and I was able to talk to them in Spanish. I was able to connect with their heritage. I was able to apply a lot of different things into the classroom, and it made the experience different than what they had experienced up until then, right? When we talked about Mendel's pea plants, a lot of them didn't care about pea plants. A lot of them couldn't even picture a pea plant. So then I changed the example to plátanos, right? Plantains. Suddenly, they can relate that to their own lives. And it's just little changes like that that showed me the kind of impact that I could have. So I credit UTeach and Dr. Lewis specifically with this because I probably would have never considered going to this school if she didn't encourage us to really go do our practicum there. And now I'm a big believer that if you're gonna learn anything from your teacher prep program, challenge yourself to be in a school like this, because then you'll learn classroom management, you'll learn relationship building, it's just wonderful. But anyways, after this, my passion, my flame was really burning. That's why I'm always sweating. And I decided I wanted to share more with others. And that's when I went to my first UTeach conference. So this is in 2019. I was like, you know what, UTeach has done so much for me. I'm about to go enter my dream job. I'm about to go hopefully change lives. I want to be able to share my ideas with others. Let me backtrack. Dr. Lewis also encouraged me to submit for the conference. I had considered going to the conference, but I wasn't 100% sure yet. But after talking with her, she really encouraged me. She's like, this would be good for you. And I'm so glad I went. Because I got to talk about my teaching experience during my student teaching, talked about how I help my English language learners. During the keynote address, I got invited to talk for a little bit, which was super exciting actually, because here I am a few years later and I'm talking again. And it was just super, super fun. And again, this showed me other important aspects to what I do. Because I had teachers coming up to me and asking questions about how I did my lesson, right? Do I have examples? Like, how would you do this lesson? And I was like, wow, I thought what I did in my classroom was kind of just what everybody did. I didn't realize that I could support other teachers as well as supporting my students. So that was really, really impactful for me. And of course, this was also my first dive into being a part of UTeach Nation. And now I tell everybody, like, I will go to any UTeach event, I'll go to the UTeach conference, even if all the sessions are repeats of things I've been to, right? Just to be in the presence of everybody. Because there's just something that, when you're in a room full of UTeach people, that you know, like, I forget who said it, someone said this warm and welcome feeling, like it's there, it really exists. I wish there was a way to kind of just quantify that. Mm-hmm. But anyways, after this conference, I started teaching, and look at me, super happy, not knowing what to expect. What a dweeb. And for context, my first year was 2019 to 2020. So I was having a normal year. And then March 13, 2020 came, and suddenly we were going home for 2 weeks. But my first year was actually pretty awesome. Like, I had people always telling me, wow, you're functioning like at a third year level. Oh, you sure you haven't taught before? Or this can't be your first year. And I credit UTeach for that. I didn't realize how prepared I was for this job solely because of UTeach. And it's like, I was so grateful for that because I had a teacher say to me, you're gonna have your first breakdown by Columbus Day. I was like, okay. And then she's like, after that, you have it right before Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay. She kind of had this calendar. And I never had it. Like, I was like in the zone. I was planning my 5E lessons. I was planning every single minute. I was building my relationships. I was having fun. And honestly, when COVID first started, that was the first time I actually was forced to kind of just take a break. And that first week or two, I didn't realize how much I needed it, to be honest. Because I was so like go, go, go. I especially relate to the fact that I showed up in the morning and it was dark, and I would leave super late and it was dark, and I had no windows in my classroom. And that was one of the lessons that COVID helped me like kind of work with. But anyways, my first year was awesome. I even got an award for being the exemplary new science teacher in Massachusetts. I had lots of fun. I would keep my desk decorated with junk. I would talk to students about random stuff. We would create memories. Every day, I always ended my class the same way. I would remind my students to spread good vibes. I always asked them randomly, I would say, what's one good thing that happened to you recently? Because I told them from day one, if you leave my classroom and you don't remember what mitosis is, that's fine. But if you leave my classroom and you can spread joy to the world, that's even better, right? So that's how I approached it. And I kept that passion going, was sharing it with others. I continue to present at conferences. That's at the UTeach conference last year. I went to NSTA, I've been to other conferences. I go back to my program at UMass Lowell, and I give back whenever I can. My dream is to maybe work there one day, but that's not right. And today, I am a PhD student at Florida International University, and I also credit UTeach with how prepared I felt to even do a PhD program, because my first semester, which was, again, this past fall, I found so many times where I felt like I wasn't doing enough. It could have been the fact that when you're teaching, you feel like you're always having to do something. But I would get my to-do list done super fast, and I'm like, all right, I'm just sitting here, what else is there to do? My professors would say, wow, you're really ahead of this, you're really organized. And I'm like, really? I'm just doing me. Like, I'm just doing what I normally do. And I credit UTeach with that, because again, training me with the skills to really succeed as a teacher kind of gave me the skills to succeed in other things as well. So I still get to teach now. I teach a journal club class, so it's different than teaching high school, but again, I still bring the same teaching philosophy. I got the outstanding alumnus last year, which made me really happy. I cried afterwards, I didn't tell anybody that. And then this is a painting from my high school students that one of them made when I was leaving. And this hangs near my computer because I use it as a reminder of, like, you know what, I can't impact everybody, but I've at least impacted some. And that's just something that, like, I hold here and I always remind myself of, especially during the tough times. Because during the tough times, you feel like you're not doing enough, but you really are. And so this is the quiet one that you're impacted. And maybe one day they'll say, but it's okay. Just know you're making an impact. But yeah, overall, during my journey, being able to talk about UTeach reminded me of the wisdom that it gave me. It also reinvigorated that fire every single time. Again, when I talk to people that are going to college, if they go to UMass Lowell, I always tell them, oh, try out UTeach. They're like, I don't want to teach. I'm like, no, just try it out. Trust me. Being a part of the community kept me connected, and being pushed to challenge myself reminded me of my why. And everything that I do, I always connect to my why, and I feel like UTeach really helped me find my why. So UTeach, again, being a part of my identity is super, super important. That sense of belonging cannot be matched by anywhere else, I think. And I'm so happy to be a UTeach alum. I want to give some special thanks for inviting me today to the UTeach Institute. So especially Carrie, who gave me lots of feedback on what I was going to talk about today. It was awesome. I also want to thank my friends from the program, who I feel like have listened to so many of my stories, given me advice, helped me shape lesson plans and all that good stuff. And then of course, I want to give special thanks to Dr. Lewis. So Dr. Lewis is like my rock when it comes to teaching, when it comes to UTeach. Wow, I'm getting emotional. Oh my God. So I credit her with a lot. So yeah, I can't say more because I'm going to cry now. So thank you, everybody. Somebody said to me, that's the question never mind is ready to ask. I'm ready to talk about it. But after my PhD, obviously it depends on what life is like at that point, but I do hope to work at a university, hopefully at a UTeach-like program. Like that'd be my dream, to be honest, to be able to teach the teachers and still be able to talk about the high school classroom and my beliefs. But I'm